Welcome back to Credentialing Chronicles, where we spill the doctor's tea hotter than your morning coffee.
And give you the insider scoop on the wild worlds of credentialing, provider drama, and everything they don't teach you in med school.
I'm Shannen, and she's Nyleen, two credentialing pros with front row seats to the chaos, looking to make you a part of it. Yes, we want you to engage in spilling this tea with us. We need your love and likes, and we want to know what you think too. Look for us, please, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and yes, baby, even TikTok.
Yes, we love to see your love. From fraud scandals to burnout breakdowns and why your favorite surgeon might actually be banned from 5 hospitals.
Honey, we've got the gossip and the practical advice to keep you out of trouble and ahead of the game.
So grab your coffee, your compliance checklist, and maybe a lawyer, and let's get into it.
Hey, we're back. How are you, Nyleen? How are you, credentialing everybody?
Hello, Shannen. I'm so excited to be jumping to our little desert state here. But before we get into the episode, can we not talk about something that's totally exciting that's happening this week?
I'm excited. Are you saying it or am I saying it?
No, you say it. Where are we
I'll
going?
say it. Okay, well, we are flying into Orlando, and we are going to Podfest 2026, because we're now in 2026 by the time you hear this. And what? I mean, do you want to tell you want me to tell everything? I don't know how much to tell. Tell me.
So we're just so excited because we got this random email hey, we checked out your podcast. We would love to invite you to join us at Podfest. It's did you want to apply? If you can, basically pay your way, you can get free tickets. And we're like, what? So I, of course I texted you right away and I was like, Shannen, check your email, hurry up.
Check your email. She sent it to me.
Okay. So we put in our little thing and we got chosen for free tickets to go and learn all things podcasting, to just take Credentialing Chronicles really to the next level with our little team of people that we have, our little broadcasting network
that are making it happen.
That are making this happen. There's so many people that do help us behind the scenes, the audio people, the visual people, the YouTube people, oh my goodness, marketing people.
And that's why it makes sponsors like Baton Health, HST, AQC, Med Elevate, really all of our companies that are involved sponsoring, putting things, in, because that's how it makes it all go. Because, it's not hard. Remember, we are what? We are MSPs. We do credentialing.
Yes, exactly. So we're looking forward to bring you guys some gossip back from Orlando, see what we learned. Right.
Yes. And the people are excited. They said they're excited about our podcast and what we're doing. I was like, what?
Yes. So we're so excited. Ooh, and can we talk about our other little gossip who we're going to meet up with while we're in Florida?
I don't know. Should we hold that off?
You know what? I think we should. Maybe we'll do some clips and let them know who we're going to actually meet with in Florida.
Yeah, we can't throw our whole cards on the table. But I just want you to know that season 2, honey, is action packed. I mean, we are literally just on episode 3 and we are moving and shaking all over the U.S. literally, right?
Yes. Oh, that's a great idea. And not only that, like we said, we are spilling the tea across America.
Spilling. Today's sponsor is HST Pathways. And if you work in or with an ASC, you already know this name carries weight with it.
Yes, absolutely. I've used HST firsthand while running an ASC, and a lot of my current clients are on it too. What I loved most was taking messy, manual, error-prone processes and turning them into clean, streamlined digital workflows.
And this isn't just one little tool, right? HST is an all-in-one ASC platform. They do billing, scheduling, inventory, electronic charting, analytics, the whole operation, baby, under one roof.
Exactly. When you're trying to be proactive instead of constantly putting out fires, having systems that actually talk to each other matters.
With over 1,800 ASC customers, HST isn't new to this, baby. They have proven this.
Yeah, so if you are ready to level up on your ASD operations, reach out to HST Pathways and let them know Credentialing Chronicles sent you. So we're going to be in Arizona this week, and we need to talk because Arizona is growing really fast. And of course, credentialing is who sees it first, because the reality is when there's a population boom or a population shift in an area, usually healthcare, it can't keep up, right? Because it's like you can't credential people or have healthcare workers move to the state fast enough. And, actually that brings up a really good point, Shannen. I was talking about this with somebody about, everybody's working remote nowadays, but who are the people that can't work remote?
Yeah, a doctor. No, yeah, I know. I was going to say doctors, nurse practitioners, PAs, CNAs, LPNs, LPCs, behavioral health, the psych nurse practitioners now, they are needed more than ever, everywhere, especially after COVID. But I mean, again, they need to be out there, like you're saying.
Right. So they're the front line. So imagine your staffing pool has to be able to keep up with your demand in your state.
Yeah. I mean, it does.
Right? So, all right. So let's talk about some credentialing laws in Arizona. So for our friends in Arizona, if you're an MSP out of Arizona, we want to hear from you. We want you to keep us up to date as far as what is something that has been earth shattering to you that you can talk to us about. Are we
getting it right? Are we not getting it right? What are we doing right, wrong? Comments, share, put us, we want to know. Okay. We want to know how we could do this better.
Exactly. So, Shannen, you want to talk a little bit about that law that just passed in Arizona?
Yeah, I want to talk about it because Arizona credentialing is just having some shaking up going. I mean, they just passed the law SB 1291. And, I don't be in the Arizona legislation, but, I be having some resources. Okay. Anyway, shortening provider credentialing timelines to 60 days, y'all. And adding a retro payment option for all providers. So that's really huge for what? Cash flow. We talk about it all the time. And what is the other thing we always talk about? Access to care. The patients need their access to care. And so this is really a contracting focused law, making sure that when
so it's for the insurances.
And this impacts every practice, credentialing with payers and hospitals. So if you are listening from the state of Arizona, share with somebody else in another clinic because they might not know that this is passed, especially specialties with long lag times. And, Nyleen, ortho, baby, all about that.
Yeah, for sure. So what does 60 days credentialing look like on the ground? Is it real or just another promise from the lobbyists? What does that mean? So the insurances have to approve within 60 days or they have to give you a decision? Because Lord knows they're not automatically approving you.
That's exactly right. We dig into what it means for practitioners who've been waiting 6 months for approval. And then now all of a sudden you're saying 60 days. And so what does that mean? It's really making sure that things are done and gotten back to you in a timely manner instead of just every time having to follow up for 6 months.
But wouldn't that cause an administrative bottleneck, forcing people to do faster? So do they have enough time to perform the checks that they actually need and go through all the processes to meet all the credentialing criteria that's needed for NCQA?
And I think, to be honest with you, it lowers the administrative hurdles and waiting periods for their healthcare providers. And that's, I think, one of the biggest, streamlining parts of this. And, that is going to provide, improve access to care. And so when we're looking at it, faster credentialing means doctors enter the network faster, quicker, moving patients, and when it's a win, I feel, on both sides. And so they're saying in network, they're saying,
as long as they can keep up with it, that's all I'm saying, because that's a huge change. I mean, it can take 6 months sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Where they're saying if it creates that, you can retro pay. So that's a good,
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good thing Arizona's doing. And I say go Arizona. If you're, promising patients, if doctors, if they see these patients, they will receive payment. I mean, that's important for everybody at the table, don't you think?
Oh, I think that sounds amazing. We need to, share that with other states, see how quickly they can get their legislation on board with that to help our doctors out. So, all right, can we talk about Arizona Medicaid for a minute? So what is Medicaid rolling out in Arizona?
Well, I mean, I think it's funny because we both come from a time where credentialing hated a digital signature. Do you remember that time?
Yes, and it had to be a wet signature only, and we had to mail applications out.
And it had to be black ink, and Medicare had to be blue
black,
ink.
yes.
And Medicare had to be the blue ink, and it was just so crazy. But, again, COVID has changed a lot, everybody, when we're talking about MSPs credentialing. And it has really, really opened up part of what this enrollment overhaul looks like, you all. It is saying that major changes are coming, like mandated digital signatures and approved to do electronic submissions now. So they're not going to do the forms, and let's talk about where that just starts. Okay. Now credentialing softwares have these applications mapped in their system and stuff. We're using that data to map out that application to go into the different networks. Now the person has to manually enter it into a new database. So there's another, increase for human error, right? Because, I mean, let's be honest, doctors aren't sitting down doing this work, baby. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, no, that's crazy. But I think it's wonderful. I mean, why are we still doing paper? Why is paper even still allowed, people? Like, literally with the MFAs, with multi-factor authenticators, with all these different ways to prove that you are who you say you are. And again, the burden of proof is always on the applicant. So if you falsified a signature, whether that's digital or in person, you can just as easily falsify a wet signature than you can an electronic signature. And that's just my personal opinion.
Yes. And I do believe that. But let's be honest, right? If these systems and everybody wanted to make it work, right, then they would believe what? That MSPs, contracting payer enrollment people, are the ones that do this work for these doctors. And so why not build it into the system? This person works on it. You give this person permission. Then it goes to you to do a signature. You would look over it. It should be in every system like that, y'all. It should. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. And every credentialing database that you're using, doesn't matter what it is, should have a way to delegate someone to do everything. And then all the doctor is doing is just attesting to everything that was already filled out. Because ain't no doctor sitting there for 2 hours filling out a credentialing application.
Never, not a day.
Nobody's doing that.
Some of the other changes, thanks for reeling me back in all the time. I'm sorry. New behavioral health related questions are actually going to start being embedded in enrollment.
Wow.
Behavioral health is getting a seat.
It really is, and it's always been a very taboo thing, kind of like release of like AIDS, right? You have to get a special release. It's always been such taboo. And we also have to be very careful with, meeting ADA guidelines and health privacy and all of that.
Always.
But I'm very interested to see what these behavioral health related questions are. And they should be, I think that's really awesome.
Also, one of the other areas that they look to improve is reset of pending modifications if they've terminated it before. So meaning providers could have to restart applications if they lose a status. So let's say they're active, they go back, they go to expiring, they go active, they go inactive, they go active, they go, pending CMEs, whatever that next thing. But they're trying to, reset some of those modifications for people that have been terminated. And so, I guess, again, really just trying to clean it up. Go Arizona.
Yeah, so that means they're basically forcing credentialing into 2025, 2026, even though they might do it kicking and screaming with the MSPs, especially, and please, we love you MSPs regardless of your age, but the reality is the new ways of doing things are going to happen. So get on the bandwagon, get the training, understand this digital process. I think MSPs are way ahead of nursing and ASCs with digital stuff. So let's not get into that topic, but the fact that digital credentialing signatures, virtual committee is actually a thing and that Arizona is promoting it, like go Arizona, right?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, 2025 is going to happen, y'all. And at my company, AQC, I'm going to say it once, say it loud. We have what's called like the cred culture. And for the people that, are scared of data, scared of computers, scared of this, you have to let that data speak for you. Show how amazing you are. Cause it's not the data doing the work. You're doing it. It's just showing how fast you're doing it, how accurate you're doing it. It's okay to use that data for your advantage. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's just go back to this whole behavioral health questions coming up. Like, does that mean that like part of your quality standards are now going to include like behavioral health? I mean, that would be pretty forward and very changing in the whole quality peer review side of things. Like, is this, yes, it's protected information, but are we using this as part of a peer review statute that may be included now or will be included in the future? So I think that's really cool.
Well, I think, here is the thing that is really cool, right? Is behavioral health, mental health, the fact that your mind needs to be right for your body to be right is mainstream now. People are, it's true. People believe it. LPCs, LCSW, right? Yes. I mean, it's not abstract. It's not, Susie's crazy. No, she's not crazy. She's stressed out. She needs a mental health day. And so when we're looking at that, behavioral health affects what? Billing, claims, renewals, revenue cycles. And so to what you're saying, I think everything should be relooked with behavioral health in mind now. I think even CAQH, where are you at? Come to the table. Because behavioral health is needed. It's here and it's not going away, babe. It's not.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the structure. Like, we know Medicaid, we know how it affects, we know it's access to care. We've got all these cool updates that's happening. So Arizona is really interesting because they have a name, like there's like FAMUS and GAMUS. So we all call them different, but it's really cool because so Arizona is AHCCCS, which is Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System. That was a really cool acronym, right? So anyway, it's really like an umbrella. It sets, the overall Medicaid rules. It, approves the provider enrollment at their state, requires revalidations. It oversees compliance. And the MCO, the managed care organizations, are now, I guess, like the gatekeepers, and they have their own credentialing requirements. They have different applications and different timelines and different revalidation cycles. So it's just really interesting because that is an extra dynamic that MSPs have to learn and navigate through. And it could be the same doctor trying to get through these MCOs, and then just you need straight Medicaid to then go to these MCOs. And it's really complicated.
Yeah, in the same state.
Right?
Yeah. It seemed complicated.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, are they going to have to like meet those same guidelines that's being set by this organization? So
yeah, I mean, it seems like, Arizona's tight interplaying, right, between, the AHCCC, 3 C's, S, and federal rules, right? And it's creating real world chaos. I mean, that's what it's looking like. And so what does that look like, right? Medicaid retroactive payment shifts due to credentialing policies. And so some people could say 45 days, 30 days, and it's hard because it doesn't provide consistency across the board. And I think that we always, when we see that, what does that mean? It means that things can't be as transparent, right?
Right.
Right? I mean, that's what I see.
And then let's talk a little bit about telehealth.
Yeah.
How does that affect stuff?
Let's look at it like this, right? What do Arizona providers still don't know and will pay for because they don't know it? I mean, just tell them, Nyleen.
Yeah, they don't know like how credentialing really intersects with unresolved claims. And then every time there's this government shutdown, there's like all this chaos that happens and this backlog. And so the problem is that a lot of practices are relying on this telehealth for revenue. And then we're still trying to navigate how this actually works,
And you're looking at what? A small mom and pop, pediatrician, right? Let's just say that. So what do you have? An understaffed MSP. They probably don't have a professional NAM certified MSP on staff. Maybe Susie's the wife of the doctor and she's just trying to get in everywhere. And so, I mean, really, it is it creates a huge landscape that's hard to navigate and in different layers of complexity. I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah. And so doing some more research, girl. There's some other stuff that came out in Arizona. Well, okay. So, the government got this whole government of efficiency, whatever, Department of Efficiency, whatever it's called, Doge, whatever. So CMS actually did a list of, let's call the WISER model technology vendors. So CMS has released the list of technology vendors, right, that are participating in this wasteful and inappropriate service reduction. That's called the WISER model, and their associated MAC. So the Medicare Administrative Contractor, which is within your state, right? Or the MAC that's responsible for your state, because they're grouped by several states. Like mine is in South Carolina, Florida's just Florida, whatever. Anyway, under this model, physicians in Arizona, but there's more states involved, which is like New Jersey, Ohio, Oklahoma, Texas, and Washington. But anyway, Arizona is one of them. So doctors in Arizona will be required to exchange claims and prior authorization data with the technology vendor contracted by their MAC. And this is going to use AI tools to identify potentially wasteful and inappropriate services. So y'all, the AI is being utilized, and there's these technology vendors that is basically contracted by the government. So you can only use certain kind of vendors. I'm sure they're going to pass those costs down to, of course, to the doctor. So anyway, the AMA previously urged CMS to make this list public as soon as possible to help now practices and health IT vendors prepare for this WISER implementation, girl. But this WISER start date is now January 2026.
Oh, man.
But you can actually go to the CMS website now and get it. So maybe we should put that link in our show notes.
Okay. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. So I want to definitely put that in there. So anyway, that was a little side note of there. But so what's the big takeaway of the Medicaid system? What do you think about it? Is it too difficult? You think people are going to comply?
Okay, well, you want to hear what I think? I think it's a confusion trap, okay? Because, even down everything that you've said, right? Everything I've said, but even down to the language, credentialing versus contracting. Even experienced teams get burned out. Credentialing means what? It means to verify education. It means to verify the licenses. It means to verify the training. It means to verify competency. Well, what does competency mean for your organization? It means for some CMEs, for some case logs, for some peer references can be a part of that. I mean, the gamut is gammuted, okay, of things that you in your bylaws get to choose. Now, let's talk about this. What does contracting mean? It means negotiating reimbursements, y'all. It means executing legal agreements with the insurance companies. It means being activated for payment. So that's what the people don't understand. You're getting somebody, get a minute. No, you need to get a contract, get credential, and then on top of everything else, get activated for payment to become billable. That's, so again, you could be credentialed, but not contracted. You could be contracted, but not activated. And you could be approved literally by AHCCCCCS and girl, still be denied by the MCO.
And nobody's telling the doctors the difference.
Arizona, what's happening?
Oh my goodness.
That's something that we're going to have to break down in a bonus episode. And maybe we could get some of the MSPs from Arizona on. And how do y'all navigate this? Are y'all educating a doctor? I have so many questions, right?
Yes. Wow. And of course, none of this has to do with whether or not they're the licensing board practicing. That has nothing to do with they're actually first obtaining a medical license to practice in the state.
Everything after.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into some tea because we are almost running out of time here. So
we're killing people with all the politics.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about, of course, there's stories that are a lack of transparency, slow of action, and bad misconduct. Because Lord knows we've got plenty.
From the medical board?
Yes. So the board was criticized. So Arizona Medical Board was criticized for allowing doctors with misconduct complaints, for example, inappropriate conduct, inappropriate exams, to continue practicing with some cases lingering for years. Because what happens is they stay active until this whole entire investigation happens, right?
It's terrible.
Right. So then they found in 2019, the board struggled to quickly stop individuals falsely claiming to be doctors. Oh, Lord. Despite a 2019 law requiring action against imposters. Well, then there was enough verbiage that then in 2024, the Arizona Republic governor ordered that the Arizona Medical Board explain its process and address transparency and accountability issues. Then there was a House bill that aimed to mandate posting of older records, advisory letters. So at least they started taking action, right? So
it sounds like it.
Trigger warning. This segment discusses allegations of sexual misconduct by a physician and may be disturbing. We are not naming any of the alleged victims, and we have not credentialed any of these providers. Okay, let's talk about this story. You ready, Shannen?
Mm-hmm. I'm ready. I'm eyes open, ready.
Okay, so picture this. You're 22 years old. You're rushing on your lunch break for what should be a simple antibiotic. And you leave the exam room wondering if you just got violated or if you are overreacting.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
What do you think? So, 1998, a young patient comes in for a bladder infection. What happens? Have you ever had a bladder infection?
Yeah, it burns, you get some, antibiotic. Yeah, and it goes away.
Right. Usually you go in, you tell the doctor your symptoms. Either you do a urinalysis.
Exam.
No, you don't even get an exam. Doctor's like, do you have this YZ? Do a urine sample, do a dipstick. We can tell you have an infection, right?
Yep.
Girl, this doctor's like, no, you need a physical exam that was medically unnecessary and sexually violating. She tells someone she trusts and gets what? The classic dismissal.
Oh my God.
What do you think they say to a girl?
You misinterpreted. He's a doctor. Yep. Yeah. We've heard it.
Exactly. So now we find out, no, other women exist who are saying the same thing. This isn't a misunderstanding. What do we say it is? A what? Pattern of?
Behavior. Every single time. This is what we see. And you ain't lying. And what happened? I got to know.
Right. So once the police action becomes public, so now it gets to the criminal side of things because women are like, okay, the medical side of things isn't listening to us. So now we're going to go make actual criminal charges. The town actually stood up and said, no, we have to protect our patients, not protect the doctor. Hundreds of community members reportedly went ahead and signed a public endorsement, like a petition type thing. And then the the case becomes a template. Criminal charges happen. Multiple women's allegations surface across the years.
Because others came up.
But the problem is there's no camera. There's no recording. There's no perfect evidence. It's always just hearsay. So, girl, the jury returned with a not guilty.
And I just asked, how is that justice? How is that justice? I am not feeling justice.
The doctor is still licensed, by the way.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, you all. And see, these are things that we are practicing, that we are going out. And it's so important that you as a patient are going and verifying your doctor and looking and doing Google searches on your doctor, doing Google alerts on your doctor. Go in there and get a Google alert on your doctor. I mean, a provider can be known, investigated, restricted, and still remain credentialable, you all. Somewhere, if the system is built to hide what's old, what's confidential, privilege, non-disciplinary, voluntary resignation. I mean, we hear it all the time. That we heard it all through season 1.
Right. And then remember, guys, we already said all of this. The way it happens in credentialing is very different, because what happens is investigations, right? Even when a case is open, the police officers say, oh, we're not allowed to discuss an open investigation. Well, similarly, with a doctor's office, investigations are often confidential by statute. You know, some actions like advisory letters in many states can be public records, but they're not always easily visible on the main profile that a patient may check. You know, a doctor's not going to put, oh, I have a disciplinary issue on his website, right?
But
older material can become, they should.
At least on the disclosure questions when they're going into a facility.
Yeah, well, at least on the credentialing side of this. Patient side, forget it, you know? And then even older material can sometimes be hard because they only started scanning, 15 years ago, 20 years ago? I don't know. When did the actual medical board start scanning everything? Before, it was like the card catalog. You used to have to go actually to remember the card catalog. Like, I want to take out a book. You got to go look through the card catalog, right? So this is just... the public view can look clean while the file history really is not. And that's, I think, what we want to bring to their attention.
Well, I think you ain't lying about that, because, I mean, are you kidding me? It's like... that's like, can we scream it at the top of the roofs? You know, patients, check your providers. Patients, check your providers. I mean, you know, and it's not just in Arizona. It's Arizona and all across the United States, because guess what? They're in Arizona. They leave Arizona. They go to another state, you know, and that's why people, you know, they use the baton health, that it shows them all the states, you know, because the people going across, when a state is fast growing, it creates provider shortages, and then that pressures provider recruiters and people in those positions to just fill those spots, right? And they're just like, you know, is he established? Is he a high biller? You know, does the community support him? Everything else will be taken out in credentialing. But what we've learned is just asking those 3 questions, right? I mean, I don't even know, Nyleen. Poor girl.
Right. So sometimes they make those excuses. Yeah, sometimes they make those excuses, right? If it's a high biller, or if it's like he's already established in the community. And who knows, this doctor may have been super known or whatever and respected, and they just didn't want to believe it and whatever. You know, I'm not going to sit there and record my own medical exam at a doctor's office because I'm scared that a doctor is going to violate me in the office. Like, I really shouldn't have to do that as a patient. And there is a such thing as, you know, privacy and confidentiality as a patient. But the reality is, the faster we grow, and if we don't have the healthcare personnel to keep up with that, then the bad actors are going to stay around. So why does this matter? So for MSPs and credentialing teams, chaperone orders and restrictions are not minor footnotes. They are practice impacting risk markers. So if a doctor has this, like, guys, this is literally on the board website. Doctors are actually restricted, saying you can't see a patient without somebody else in the room. Like, that should just be common practice. I shouldn't have to say that in every episode.
But you know, on the clinical checklist, It's January 2026. Everybody's going to be doing a bylaw review, okay? On the checklist, it should say that, part of an ethics section. Every privileging checklist should have an ethics section. And it should say, I will have a chaperone in the room. I will ensure that my charting is done in whatever the policy says. I will ensure, you understand? And then it's like an extra insurance. And go ahead and take the note. That's just the type of education we be giving out over here. But again, it protects you, the facility. It protects the doctor. It lets the doctor know you're not playing. This isn't a playing thing. Like, this is a part of the culture of this institution,
Mm-hmm. And if right. And I'm not going to say to not give any doctor a chance, but ask for their board orders, ask them to be upfront, ask them for their probationary terms. What were the compliance requirements? What did you do to meet those compliance requirements? Recognize any patterns. One complaint can be ambiguous, but a timeline is not. Okay. And like you said, build your internal guardrails. Ensure you are also complying with that court order, or at least assisting the physician to comply with his or her board order, right? How are you documenting it? What happens if the provider refuses or he forgets to comply? Know that if you accept a physician with these types of restrictions, do you have the processes and the personnel in place to hold those doctors, those PAs, those nurse practitioners, or whomever, healthcare provider, practitioner, assistant, scrub tech, whatever you're doing, accountable to comply with those measures? Because now the burden is going to be on the quality staff, quality nursing, MSPs, MSOs to say, are you complying with what you're supposed to? So what about doctors?
Yeah. Well, when we're looking at it, Arizona is not a shortcut state. I mean, we could tell that from everything we talked about, correct? So, I mean, they want to credential you 5 different ways in the same institute, in the same MCO. I mean, so we've already seen that. I can't wait till we hear, what some of our Arizona people are saying about that. Payers talk to each other more than you think, and so that's something that you want to keep in mind. Clean histories matter in a high volume environment. And that's just real talk. I mean, the cleaner your history is, the faster you're likely to get on. You're not clean. You have something on your record. You have something you didn't disclose, and then somebody found out about it. It's going to create a lot of meetings that didn't have to happen if you would have just disclosed it, right?
The patients deserve to know, and that's why the board orders are technically public information. You just got to know where to look. But yeah, and that's why you got to follow Credentialing Chronicles, because we'll give you the state board. Actually, you know what? We need to put that. Let's put the state board verification site on each one of these episodes so they can go to our show notes and get that link. But anyway, you deserve to know if a doctor is under restrictions or what patient protections are required. If something feels wrong, write it down, the details immediately, date, time, what happened, who was present, get everybody's name, ask for a chaperone, bring a chaperone to your visit, bring a healthcare surrogate, a healthcare proxy, bring whoever you have that could answer for you in case you pass out. Anyway, report to both the clinic and the medical board and police if you do believe that a crime happened. But 14 formal accusations, multiple investigations, decades of smoke, and yet the license stayed active the whole time. This is an actual story that happened. Doctors still practicing since the 90s. Guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing, if you don't stand up at that moment and you say, oh, somebody else, but look at this situation right here, this person, not guilty, and I know that you feel no justice, because that's how I feel, no justice has been served. But again, put another complaint. Every time there's a complaint, something happens, speak up. Because the more complaint, then it can't go away,
Yeah. And I think you brought up a good point. Like, just because they practice in Arizona doesn't mean that they don't have a state license somewhere else. So if you're in that state and you are a surgery center or you are a small rural hospital that is not doing verifications, look, in states like Arizona where providers are moving fast and systems are stretched, clean provider data is not optional. That's why we partner with companies like Baton Health that help keep provider data accurate, defensible, and usable across all the systems. Once calm, trust building. We want to make sure that this is something and a tool that MSPs can use and are using to make sure we are checking doctors across the board. So, what are we going to say if you work in Arizona? What are you going to say if we work in Arizona? What are we saying?
I would say, truly, to be honestly, you'll naturally, if you work in Arizona, MSP providers, patients, talk to us, right? We want to hear about it. I mean, that's why we did this episode. So we're on all platforms. You could comment, share, tag us. If you share it, tag us. We'll comment on it. We'll post you. We want to know what's broken, what feels broken, what is working, what should Arizona fix next? Are people sticking to the 60-day rule? I mean, we want to know it all.
Yes. So Arizona shows us what happens when healthcare grows faster than its safeguards, but it's also where technology and the future of credentialing is going. So next week, where are we going? A different geography.
But very similar risk.
Good job. See you guys next time.
Woo, that was a whole lot of tea. Who knew doctors had more drama than reality TV?
And if you think that was wild, just wait till next week. We've got more stories, more scandals, and more credentialing chaos coming your way.
And if you love the tea, please don't keep it to yourself. Like to show us you're listening. Please comment and join the conversation, and follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. Also, share so everyone else can sip with us.
Yeah, so see you next time on Credentialing Chronicles. Stay credentialed, not canceled.